Welcome to Wrestler of the Week, week number 4. It pretty much works like this. If you are a professional wrestler and you made the most impact on the industry within the past 7 days, you will be named, in my opinion, the Wrestler of the Week. Every week, I will rank the top 10 male and female competitors of the week. They will be ranked on a point system, and at the end of the year, all those points will be tabulated and calculated, and whoever has the most points at the end of the calendar year will be named my male and female wrestler of the year. If you want to know what criteria I use for Wrestler of the Week, be sure to check out my week 1 episode. AEW Revolution 2024 is now in the books, so we can just get right into it. First off, the women and some honorable mentions. Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley continue their simmering feud on the road to WrestleMania, but I feel in this week's past Raw, they were more supporting players to build Nia Jax and Liv Morgan up. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark seem to be back on their winning ways as a tag team, soundly defeating Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, with them protesting that they should have had a tag title shot against the Kabuki Warriors at Elimination Chamber. I'm sure they're not happy about Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley getting a shot at this week's NXT, and I wouldn't be surprised that we hear more about it through more violence. Please continue to have these women mow through everyone towards a face-off with the Kabuki Warriors at WrestleMania. Deonna Purrazzo put up a great fight in a loss to Toni Storm for the AEW Women's title at Revolution, and I believe this will not be the last we hear from her. Athena made an appearance on Ring of Honor television, and to see how she is presented on Ring of Honor as Women's Champion as compared to how she was presented in WWE for me is like night and day. Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander won the 0-hour tag match against Julia Hart and Sky Blue at Revolution. Now that it looks like Julia Hart is healthy, let's see which of the two she defends her TBS title against. It was a big week for returns, as Serena Deeb returned to squash business, then declared herself the final boss. Who will she be the final boss for? Stay tuned. It was great to see Riho back on AEW television as she returned on Rampage with a win over Trish Adora. Billy Starks had a busy week with 2 wins, one against Killer Kelly at GCW Project GCW, then would later defeat Billy Rock at GCW Keep in Touch. Finally, I am super intrigued with the implosion between Ruby Soho and Saraya playing out on AEW Rampage that also includes Ruby's budding relationship with Angela Parker, and now with Saraya's brother Zack getting into the mix. It looks like we have a good old-fashioned mixed tag team match perhaps coming in the future. And now the top 10 for the women. Kicking it off for the women is Thunder Rosa of AEW, who had a busy week. On last week's Collision, she squashed Lady Bird Monroe like a bug, pardon the pun. And then on this past week's Collision, she squashed Cassandra Golden like, well, she squashed her. It is great to see Thunder Rosa back on AEW TV, and these squash matches are a good way to give her some wins and build her back up. It will be interesting to see which women's titles she eventually sets her sights on, but I hope we get her interjected soon. At number 9 is Liv Morgan, who is making a splash in WWE as she starts her revenge tour against Rhea Ripley. First, her Raw match with Nia Jax ended in DQ because of Becky Lynch's interference after she was earlier attacked by Nia Jax on Raw. Later in the evening, Morgan got into Lynch's face, telling her that not everything is about Becky. I am enjoying Liv's new character work. She is doing her own take on Drew McIntyre and Roxanne Perez, who have felt cheated by the WWE when it comes to title opportunities. It feels clear to me that Morgan is in the midst of a heel turn because honestly, you are not going to get cheered against Rhea Ripley. But Liv Morgan is definitely someone to watch, especially post-Mania. At number 8 is the prodigy Roxanne Perez, who, like Drew McIntyre and Liv Morgan, is quickly becoming one of my favorite characters on WWE TV as someone who feels absolutely slighted and has a legit point, but her actions have not been very virtuous. Roxy got into it backstage with Jakara Jackson, who she then defeated convincingly on NXT to get back to her winning ways. It is clear that she, like Liv Morgan, is using her motivation to push her more towards the dark side, and I am all for it. Roxy is one of my favorite female wrestlers on the planet, and I hope NXT has something major for her plan going into Stand and Deliver. Queen Aminata from Ring of Honor takes the number 7 spot after defeating Taya Valkyrie in what I consider an upset in the quarterfinals of the Ring of Honor Women's TV title tournament. Aminata now has a lot of eyeballs on her as she continues her quest to gain the Ring of Honor's Women's Television title. She has been picking up a bunch of wins lately, and it feels like she is moving up the card to be a prominent figure in Ring of Honor's Women's division. At number 6, we have a tie between NXT Women's Champ Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley, Lyra's friend? Stalker? We will find out soon. But the two were all over NXT television this week, building their story and relationship together, culminating in Lyra announcing that she and Tatum will face the Kabuki Warriors for the WWE Women's Tag Titles this week on NXT, and this is amazing. 1. This is exactly how I always hoped the women's tag titles will be defended across brands. So good on WWE for getting that right. And 2, we get another chapter told in this Lyra Tatum story that has been simmering for a while, and I wonder how Tatum will take a potential loss to the Kabuki Warriors this week. But both ladies were great and deserve to be recognized. At number 5 are the King Bees, who this past week on NWA Power defeated Pretty Empowered for the NWA Women's Tag Team Championships. This is Charity King's and Danny B's first reign of the titles after a shocking win, as some semblance of Pretty Empowered dominated the NWA Women's Tag scene for over 2 years. The Texas duo now have a shot to get some real eyeballs on them, and I have enjoyed their work together as a team. Now to see how Billy Corgan plans to book the new champs. Coming in at number 4 is Nia Jax, and I know she gets a form of heat that makes people super annoyed with her. But I'm going to be honest, I have actually enjoyed this current run she's on. She's motivated, her character and goals are clear, and she is doing a good job of leaning into the hate. On Raw, she proved that she is not going away, continuing to interject herself with Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley, and now she has pissed Liv Morgan off. Interwoven stories on the women's roster? What is this, competent writing? Nia has done her best to look like a killer, and even after her loss to Rhea Ripley at the Elimination Chamber, she still seems to dominate everyone else. Nia is now the gatekeeper between Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley for WrestleMania, and Jax in the gatekeeper role before someone is about to hit the main event seed is a great spot for her. What will be next for Nia? Perhaps a showdown with Bianca Belair? Or a new face-off between her and Jade Cargill to feed off their 2024 Royal Rumble moment? We'll see. At number 3, we have Tiffany Stratton, and if there is anyone getting a rocket strapped to their back, it is Stratton, following up a star-making performance in the Elimination Chamber. Stratton just kept rolling with a major pinfall victory over Naomi on SmackDown, a former women's champ. Stratton just gets it and does everything right, and right now she feels like a female Kurt Angle in how quickly she has taken to pro wrestling, and she is not even 25 yet. What's even better is she is already super over, and I am sure Triple H is hearing that. Coming in at number 2 is Timeless Toni Storm, who successfully defended her AEW women's title match in a great chain wrestling battle against Deonna Purrazzo. Toni took everything Deonna could take, counter for counter, but at the end, it was a well-timed distraction from Mariah May, leading to a Storm Zero that eventually took Deonna out, and Timeless Toni Storm remains your AEW Women's Champion, and I just want to see this run continue. Take nothing away from Deonna Purrazzo, who gave a great effort as well, and I can see her becoming a staple of AEW's women's division, but it just wasn't her night. For now, go on, Miss Storm. Give good face. You've earned it. In my opinion, the female wrestlers of the week are all the participants of Damage Control, as they fully imploded when Dakota Kai turned on Bayley and joined Women's Champ Io Sky and Women's Tag Champs the Kabuki Warriors. We have been building to this for 2 years, and the trigger was finally pulled, and Bayley now finds herself up against all odds going into WrestleMania in her title match against Io Sky. But the whole tag match and segment was pulled off beautifully, and everyone played their roles brilliantly, as we now have a real sense of betrayal and sympathy for Bayley going into WrestleMania. Now it's only a matter of time to see if Bayley will finish her story. I am super stoked to see where the next chapter will take us. Hopefully we now get to truly focus on the dynamic between Bayley and Io Sky, and specifically Sky as the women's champ. The person I chose for Wrestler of the Year in 2020 needs to have the spotlight on how great of a wrestler she is. But for the female wrestlers of the week, I have to give it up to all of Damage Control. And now for the men and some honorable mentions. We got some big sweaty man meat to kick off the honorable mentions with Wardlow, who has been showing some absolute fire in his promos, and this past week was no exception. He also won the AEW All-Star Scramble match at AEW Revolution, and now he has a shot for the AEW title. Wardlow is starting to gain some of that main event mojo he lost, so it's great to see him back in the upper rungs of the company again, and I can see him easily making the Wrestler of the Week rankings in the future. Imperium had what I felt was a feud-ending match and win against the New Day. Then the most unexpected thing happened. The Judgment Day of all people arrived to get in Imperium's faces, and even crazier, Dominic Mysterio, who was all over Raw last week, of all people, was the one to lay down the individual challenge to Gunther. Anything Gunther, I am here for it, even though it may feel like we may be heading towards a multi-man match at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental title. But for now, this intrigues me. Drew McIntyre continues to be a no-nonsense, absolute savage on the mic, on his way to facing Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and had a great face-to-face with the World Heavyweight Champion, fresh off the heels of handing Cody Rhodes his first pinfall loss in almost a year. Luke Jacobs and Connor Mills continue to have bangers at Revolution Pro, whether it is against each other, like this week, or other competitors. These guys just put out bangers. This is just a taste of what Rev Pro has been offering in 2024. It seems like we are in a truly new era in TNA led by the System dominating one end and Mustafa Ali working his way as the X Division champ, and Impact showcased both well, with Ali's X Division celebration cut short by Chris Sabin and the System defeating ABC and Eric Young in a very good main event match. Sami Zayn defeated Shinsuke Nakamura, getting that monkey off his back and freeing him up for a chance at championship gold. Is he one of the many gunning for Gunther's Intercontinental title? Carmelo Hayes, Tony D'Angelo, and NXT champ Ilya Dragunov had a great segment on NXT, and it was great seeing Tony D'Angelo interject himself between NXT champ Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes' contract signing for Roadblock. I've been vocal about it before that I at first didn't buy Tony D'Angelo, but he has been all in on his character and I dig it, and I don't mind him getting a shot at Stand and Deliver, because we all know Trick Williams is interfering this week and costing Mello the #1 contender spot, right? Like, that's super easy to call. Johnny TV won a pretty important match against Dalton Castle on Ring of Honor television, where he now has full control of Dalton's boys. Braun Breaker continues to be a wrecking ball, this time destroying poor Zion Quinn in like 8 seconds. Dude is a living, breathing Terminator. And now for the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the men. Kicking off the countdown at number 10 are two big returns in Rey Mysterio and Shawn Spears. This was a week of faking injuries, as Rey Mysterio hobbled out on crutches in the middle of a match between Carlito and Santos Escobar on SmackDown when things began to break down, but it was revealed that Rey is healthy and attacked Legado del Fantasma, enabling Carlito to get the win. Now that Rey has come back, we can get some finality to the LWO versus Legado feud, and Rey Mysterio can perhaps exact some revenge on Santos Escobar, who turned his back on him, and most importantly, figure out what's next in store for everyone in each stable. Shawn Spears made a major impact on NXT, returning to the brand where he found the most success, and it is very telling that he debuted as Shawn Spears, heel, as opposed to Ty Dillinger, the perfect 10 babyface. He took out Ridge Holland with a chair, also apparently sticking with his chairman character. I have always liked Spears, whether as the super charismatic Ty Dillinger or the calculating Spears, and it seems like Shawn Michaels, who is running NXT, is more receptive of Shawn Spears as a heel. It will be interesting to see where his character goes in NXT, but welcome back Shawn Spears, and welcome back Rey Mysterio. Coming in at number 9 is Charlie Dempsey, who scored a major victory in defeating Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup on this past week's NXT. It took 5 rounds, but Dempsey pinned Dar within the minute of the 5th round to score what I believe is an upset victory. Now the No Quarter Cash Club has something to hang their hats on, a major accomplishment for Dempsey, the British grappler, who now has something to fight for while giving Noam Dar something new to do, as it does feel like he has outgrown the cup and should be vying for one of NXT's major singles titles. At number 8, we have another red hot feud courtesy of the Blackpool Combat Club, FTR and Eddie Kingston. On last week's Collision, Bryan Danielson defeated again Yun Akiyama that continued the great build towards his feud with Eddie Kingston, and that show ended with a wild brawl between all parties to set up a 6-man tag on Dynamite, which on Wednesday the 6 of them had a ridiculously awesome match that saw the BCC emerge victorious, but it only added fuel to the fire to the feud between Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston and FTR and Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. Claudio was also busy defeating Rugido from CMLL on Rampage. At Revolution, FTR, Moxley, and Claudio went into an all-out war, with Claudio and Mox coming out on top. This very much felt like a way to legitimize the BCC as a real tag team. But where does that leave FTR? Finally, Kingston defended his Continental title in a brutal battle against Bryan Danielson that saw the two literally leave it all in the ring. The hatred between Eddie and Danielson was palpable and was one of the realest feeling feuds in all of wrestling. Bryan finally shook Eddie's hand and showed respect. Bryan continues his farewell tour while Kingston continues his winning ways. These six were just embroiled in a glorious Smash Mouth style feud all week where it just felt like everyone can't stand each other, and I loved every goddamn second of it, especially the back and forth between Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson. More of this. At number 7 is the AEW TNT champion Christian, who fought off a Gabe Daniel Garcia to retain the TNT title. Christian is starting to become synonymous with the TNT title as his character work with the Patriarchy and his feud with Adam Copeland has helped to elevate the title some. Garcia gave it his all at Revolution, but interference from the Patriarchy was just too much. Now we see if Adam Copeland returns for his revenge and takes out the Patriarchy one by one. At number 6 is the new AEW International Champ Roderick Strong, who won a hard-fought battle against Orange Cassidy, who gave everything he had, but it just wasn't enough as Strong took home the AEW International title, one of the biggest wins of his career, and the United Kingdom member has been rewarded for his crazy character work. And I am super stoked to see where Strong takes this title, especially after the shocking appearance of Kyle O'Reilly and his refusal to initially join the United Kingdom. What did Kyle whisper to Roddy? Was it the same thing Rock whispered to Cody? The international title has been built up as the workhorse title, and Strong is the very definition of a workhorse wrestler. So I am salivating over the number of amazing matches Strong can have with this stacked AEW roster. But congratulations to the new international title holder, Roderick Strong. Coming in at number 5 is AEW World Heavyweight Champion Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, and Hangman Adam Page, who gave us another one of the best matches of the year at Revolution, where Samoa Joe retained his title. The three all had a very busy week. First, with Page's gotcha moment, attacking Swerve on Dynamite, who believed Page was going to concede his spot in the Revolution title match due to injury. What a great moment and another blistering segment with all three, and they only turned up the heat for this. Joe, Swerve, and Hangman all brought their A-games, hitting each other with their best shots at Revolution, with Page hitting 3 buckshot lariats at Joe, and Swerve rejecting a foreign object from Prince Nana. But at the end, it was a coquina clutch from Joe on Adam Page that secured victory, and Joe continues his dominant reign. But Swerve was never pinned or submitted, and I am sure we are now on a collision course towards Joe and Swerve for a one-on-one showdown. But all three of these men killed it and are deserving to be on this list. This is a legitimate Match of the Year contender. At number 3, we have the Young Bucks and Darby Allin, and the truth of the matter is, Sting's farewell tour would not have worked as well without of these players. Darby Allin has played Sting's protege perfectly, to the point where I can't see them not together anymore. It's been a long time since we had a great, genuine student-mentor combo in wrestling, and this was definitely one of the best ones. Now I can see Allin truly moving up to the main event after Sting's departure. The Young Bucks' heel turn for me has been a success, leaning into their roles as EVPs of AEW and becoming truly detestable human beings, whether it's wearing their blood-stained white suits, drenched in Sting's blood for weeks, or threatening Tony Schiavone for their pettiness, but they have become the heels people really want to root against. Sting's retirement would not have been as successful without these players giving some of their career best work. And yes, Darby Allin is a madman for falling through glass. Sharing the number 3 spot for Wrestler of the Week are our WrestleMania main eventers, who all had a full plate this week. Seth freaking Rollins cut another great promo on Raw in a WrestleMania build full of them lately, when he was confronted by Drew McIntyre, still spitting facts by asking why Seth wants to get involved with the bloodline, especially with his injuries. Seth said some things were just bigger than himself, and bringing his daughter into the fold really gave some perspective and hammered home why Seth needs to be involved in the WrestleMania main event. Top shelf stuff. Cody Rhodes, meanwhile, had a successful Raw, defeating Austin Theory, then successfully taking out a bunch of Bloodline cronies sent by Paul Heyman. Cody laid the gauntlet out that he is hunting the Bloodline. What that means, I'm sure we will find out, but Cody showed great fire the entire episode. Then there was Friday. First, The Rock cut a mad 20-minute promo on social media. Then on SmackDown, the corporate Hollywood Bloodline Rock Scorched Earth tour continued as the Bloodline took up over a third of the entire SmackDown show. But this was important. After The Rock eviscerated Glendale and Phoenix, Arizona, he denied Cody's challenge for a one-on-one match, but laid out the challenge we all expected. A tag team match between The Rock and Roman Reigns against Cody and Seth Rollins on night 1 of WrestleMania, and if Cody and Seth win, Cody faces Roman one-on-one on night 2 with no interference. But if they lose on night 1, the night 2 main event is Bloodline Rules, which is essentially a no DQ brawl with probably Solo Sikoa singing the national anthem. Also, we got the biggest moment where The Rock fully acknowledged Roman Reigns as his tribal chief, and Roman Reigns even ended The Rock's catchphrase. So it is all out there, and now we wait for the inevitable response from Cody and Seth, but all the WrestleMania main eventers were cooking this week. Coming in at number 2 is a tie between Don Callis family members Will Ospreay and Konosuke Takeshita, who had a legit match of the year contender, with a beautiful match at Revolution full of chain wrestling, high flying, and fighting spirit. These two left it all in the ring after clubbing forearms, dueling suplexes, and dueling hard no-sells. I know this match may not be for everyone, but it melted my face and served as a great introduction to Will Ospreay for anyone who have never seen him before wrestle. But the same applies to Takeshita. Both of these men are out of this world, and in my opinion, this is the match of the year so far in 2024. Congratulations, guys. Great top shelf stuff here. And the wrestler of the week is definitely a sentimental pick, but this week belongs to none other than the icon Sting, who wrestled his final match at AEW Revolution last night, successfully defending the AEW tag titles against the Young Bucks, with Darby Allin at his side in a wild brawl. Sting turned up the juice for one final glorious moment on Dynamite, and all wrestling fans were able to take back the clock with his appearance coming down from the rafters like Ted Turner owned AEW, and we got to see Sting go out in a blaze of glory on Dynamite. Then he put on a hell of a performance at Revolution, with people falling into glass and getting beat up all over the arena. But most importantly, this was about Sting and his farewell to the wrestling world as a performer. Where the Stinger will go from here is a mystery, but I am excited to see what he has in store for this new phase of his life and career. Thank you, Sting. Thank you, Steve Borden. You are an icon. You are one of the GOATs. Wrestling would not be the same without your amazing career, giving us some of the most awe-inspiring, fist-pumping, and dramatic moments in all of pro wrestling. It didn't matter if you were Surfer Sting, Crow Sting, Joker Sting, Main Event Mafia Sting, or just plain old Showtime Sting. You always entertained. You always were a professional. God, you had to deal with an inebriated Jeff Hardy and you didn't lose it. And above it all, you were just fucking cool. Cheers to you, Sting, and your amazing career. I wish you all the best. There was no one else that could come close. This week belongs to the Stinger, the Wrestler of the Week for week number 4. And here are the rankings for the men and women's Wrestler of the Week. And that is it for week number 4 of Wrestler of the Week. And yeah, there was no one else on planet Earth that could take Wrestler of the Week other than Sting. This is honestly a celebration of his career, and I applaud everything that he has done. And again, like I said, I am really excited to see where the next phase of his career takes all of us. But thank you, Sting. Thank you so much for your years of determination and hard work and entertaining all of us for decades and decades. Thank you so much. What did you think of my rankings for Wrestler of the Week, week number 4? Do you agree or disagree? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.